Oh, yes. Welcome back to the podcast. We have 420. 420. 420 in Roman numerals. Hey, look at this guy. Hey. Gotta have a little 420 in your life, a little marijuana. All right. Cheers. To family, to the queen, to the country, to the world, to life. So, here's the problem with the world. Everybody been watching the news? As soon as you watch that shit, I bet you're just everything goes up. Your nervous system, how you feel, all people freaking out and getting all hot and bothered. Fuck it, I'm gonna live my life. So, with all the problems in the world, let's enjoy our time here. Yeah. So I don't know. I just love life. It's really good. And I got some interpretations I put down. Oh yeah, so I've been on Osiris a lot lately. So I've been reading about him. Check this out. So, and let me start off with this. Here's some interpretations I got for you. So, I had a friend come over, right? And her and I were talking. And we were talking about the paranormal a little bit. And then she asked me a question. I'm going to show you what she asked me. I'm going to show you my room a little bit. I don't mind. I know Aaron Hernandez did some awful things, but at the end of the day, I think when you examine his entire life and measure him as a person, he was a good fucking dude, man. I don't condone the bad shit he did in his life, but it's a lot more to that fucking life than than what meets the eye. And, you know, but anyways, yeah, that's a picture of a Gillette Stadium right above his jersey. I'll keep his jersey. Fuck it. I love him. So anyways, so I have this. Oh yeah, so of course you got to have Jesus. You can't go wrong with Jesus. But besides the fact that I'm telling you that Jesus was a serpent, he was a fucking witch, and he knew what the fuck he was doing, and you gotta love Jesus. All right, so we have Baphomet over here, right, from the Knights Templar, and he has the goat's head. And then they try and associate that with Lucifer, right? Because I have this over here, which is another painting. It depicts ram's heads, the ram for the devil. Then you get the Lucifer sigil on the inside. This kind of representation of like you know, the cup you drink from, cup of Christ, if you would. But anyways, her question was between the goat's head and the ram's head. Is that how come there's two different ones? So just like anybody in the human experience, you got to research that and figure out what all that is. And what I realized is that the ram and the goat come from the same family. They're related. So they're related. They're representations of the devil, right? One of many different interpretations. Of just like God goes by many names, you know. So here's what I got for you. So I'm gonna break this down and see. You're gonna read this backwards, which makes it satanic again. But I always make jokes about Satanism. I'm making jokes of it, and if people take it too seriously, they're going way deep overboard. They need to calm down on the coffee. Relax, okay? This is entertainment, and I'm enjoying myself. And yes, I am Michael. So check this out. So you got ram and goat, right? Which comes to the word rag again. And I've come to that word before, rag. Like when we get to the dragon in the garden. But anyways, ram and goat. So you get rag, then you get O ant, O, and And out of these letters, you get O, right? I'm sorry, O's right here. O, the O, O, M, A. I'm sorry, M-A-D. It's all right here. O, mad ant. A-N-T. See? Oh, mad ant. Oh, mad ant. Referring to people. They're always mad. They're a bunch of ants. They need to wear the rags on them because they're ugly without fucking clothes. Let's just be honest. If people walked around naked, nobody would want to be people would not want to be looking around. They'd be like, fuck this shit. So the dragon was right in the garden. So you got garden, need, rag, drag, in. Huh? You know that? I'm just trying to be nice. In fact, I am a nice guy, and that's what all that means. That's interpretation from yours truly, Michael Sylvia Morningstar here, to you. See? And then you go believe, and you go down to what the serpent was saying to Eve. It says, believe, be like Eve. In other words, since the God was lying to you, you gotta lie back. Because you know, if Adam and Eve plus Lilith didn't work out to begin with, but now we're talking about Adam and Eve and being left alone in a garden butt naked, calling that paradise. Let's just be honest with you, that's just a little fucking weird, huh? It's just a little fucking, you know, fuck all that shit. So, you know, eat your apple, get delighted, get enlightened, right? So there's what I have here for you on that. Getting back into the rams, goats, and lizards and dragons. Everyone has a fascination of where does this dragon creature come from. So I like to show you. Let me see what we got here on my computer. Whoops. Let me turn that back on. So let's get into Egypt if we're gonna get into like lizard gods and dragons and shit like that. Waiting for this to turn back on, excuse me. But yeah, so let's get into Egypt, right? Let's get into Osiris. Here we are. Okay, so this is what it says right here on the internet. When Osiris, the spiritual founder and first pharaoh of Egypt, died. I'm going to repeat this. It goes beyond who built Egypt, who were all the pharaohs all through time. Fuck all. I don't care about any of the human experience of it. Let's go deep into the past, into what could be and may have been, willing in what you're willing to believe. In Osiris, and if you look at a picture of Osiris, by the way, I'll show you a picture of him, but he looks like a fucking elongated skull lizard god, right? Green. He's the color green. So when Osiris, the spiritual founder and first pharaoh of Egypt, died, he went to the sky and became the constellation Orion. The pyramids were built in alignment with Orion in order to facilitate the after-death journey of the Egyptian kings, as they became stars and traveled to Orion as Osiris had done before them. So in other words, what we're talking about here is an elongated skull lizard god that farmed out human beings, knew what they all were. I mean, you got to remember where Africa is. There's Egypt, and then you have to go through these areas on foot in order to get to the rest of the world, into the Middle East and Europe and all of that. It's only one way to walk through there. It's all through that area. You know, you got something over there harvesting all the humans, and he's like, well, we're we're going to get one with God and build some pyramids, right? Because let's be honest with the age of the pyramids, they don't know how old those things really are. They say they know. I don't, that's not. There's a lot more going on. Because the more they discover, the more they realize they didn't know. You know, they became. So plus it talks about Osiris. All right, he when he died, his spirit goes up into the heavens, just like in the Bible, where the spirit leaves the body, goes up into the stars. Right. And don't get me wrong, I know there's parts of the Bible that is written in a way to where it's like, okay, none of this makes any sense. But at the end of the day, you got to remember the people that had to write things down. That's what was available for experience to the world. These people at that time being messengers of God's, right? I mean, pyramids were built in alignment with Orion in order to facilitate the after-death journey of the Egyptian kings. So then the pyramids were built to be aligned with Orion's belt. That's what it's saying. And then there it is. So let me get to a picture of Osiris. Huh. But yeah, there are pictures here showing where they got the pyramids aligned with the belt of Orion. Check this out. I want to show you a picture of Osiris. But no picture is coming up for me. That's crazy. 1 second. Picture of Osiris. Right? I know it's like, okay, yeah, just a human. It looks like just a person painted green with a fucking hat put on top of him. I get it and all that, but so let's put it. But let's look at this the way that is, right? And then we'll piece it together with some other things that they found. First off, that's Osiris. So there's your lizard god. And you got to remember, it's not showing it here, but like in most other, and I can get one actually. There's in most depictions of him, he always has a snake coming off of his forehead. I don't know why it's all cartoonish shit they're gonna show me. I want to see actual paintings of him, because they had like all kinds of paintings of him in Egypt. So, but just like all the pharaohs there, they had the snake on the forehead, the bird next to it after a while for the high and the low. There's a whole bunch of them in here showing it's you got these guys right on the forehead, the center for the third eye, even, because it gets deeper. But then also it gets into the pyramids of South America too, right? Where you got the pyramid of the feathered serpent. They're also following the planet Venus. You know, you have all these temples down there. out of these pyramids, you know, with bodies in them, right, with tombs inside of them and everything. So then it comes down to like ancient Egypt and Giza, you know, where yeah, so you had the the god of the dead in Egypt with the what do you call it, the basically a dog of his time, related to anyways, and weighing out souls, and then like with Osiris, who was, I guess, that's another part of the story where he was murdered and chopped up by his jealous brother. But then the sister, through science, if you interpret it that way, but got the pieces back together, used gold. You know, it basically tells a story of making a clone out of him, basically a son or a clone, and then that's how Thoth comes to be the sun god. And then he kills the brother that, well, his then uncle at that time, for killing off Osiris. So that's like the story out of Egypt, of gods. But again, like if you don't want me saying, like you got to remember that when they're talking about Osiris being chopped up, and then they're using his body parts to in my opinion, getting DNA to create a newer being of him, which is also a god because it's him. Let's see what else I have here. What's this? In the book of, let me put this out there for you real quick. The Genesis. Remember the book of Genesis? And you got this I've shown you before, where they try to describe everything through the Bible. You know, the biblical code word Bible from God, meaning Bible. So you know, like saying bye to Satan or any evil entity, to just back off and using the book and its knowledge for good. And then like the other translation from below would be LIE, the lie, number 13, 13, and the number 13 is for, you know, the one third of, you know, the fallen angels from God. And yeah. So then you get Genesis right here. You get Genesis right here. Genesis, I misspelled that, but Genesis for Genesis. And you break it down to the two words, is genes. Is genes, like in genetics. So like, just like when it was saying in the Bible about how God puts Adam down on the slab, puts him into a deep sleep, takes from his rib, makes a woman, makes two of them really. And that's just one story of anything and everything that happened at that time, even though it was a long time ago, because there'd be alien visitors or anything like that the human mind hasn't, you know, really thought of. So, you know, gods amongst gods, and things like that. And so yeah, so Osiris, you know, lizard god, lizard gods, I mean, throughout any society pretty much of ancient history. And we know we had dinosaurs and things can live for a long time, and you don't know. Oh yeah, then that's the other thing. What about the yeah? what about the elongated skull? So let me get into the elongated skulls. So here's one more of Osiris. So Osiris, right? See, he's always got the elongated skull. He's always green. He sees everything. He's all knowing. This is a psychedelic drug. This plant right here of Egypt, because you see it all in a lot of different artwork. It's always the same type of plant. It's even used in that one where it looks like a light bulb, which it does with a snake in it, but actually it's that as well, where creative imagination coming through medicine. So pretty interesting. And then all dressed in white. But what about this? Let me show you this. This is the other thing I'll show you. Is the uh, lizard statues in Sumeria. Coming up here. All right, so here's some pictures of them. See, there's one with a baby, one holding a baby, maybe even feeding it. And you got two other ones, the broad shoulders, the snake-like heads with elongated skulls. Yeah, let me read to you what those actually are. They found like shitloads of these things. It's not like they found just one or two or three. They found like fuckloads of them. The recent discovery of the Al Ubain archaeological site, where many pre-Sumerian 7,000-year-old artifacts were found, depict humanoid figures with lizard-like characteristics. Now interested parties are left wondering whether these are images of mythical figures or actual beings who still live among us. Now, let's get into elongated skulls for a minute. All right. There's other types of deformities that have happened in the world. Like, just other shit that I can't get into that, but I can get into this. So elongated skulls. So elongated skulls you find around the world, even in Russia, China, America, native South America, Egypt, everywhere. All due to them binding the heads of their babies when they're first born, and keep doing it so that they could imitate the structure of a cone head. And it comes to find out that the reason why that would be is because these traveling beings that had heads like that, which were considered the rulers, like, and just by nature dominated wherever they went. So they found these skulls in they call the Paracas skulls. Let me show you those. These are elongated skulls they found down there that are actually a little bit of DNA off human. So it's human DNA with a small percentage of DNA in it that they say is something else completely different. They don't know what it is. Could be related. I don't know. But what they did say is that these Paracas skulls is that when you measure the crevices, like the cracks in them and all that, that's supposed to be there. Like we have like three different ones, and these crevices, we have three of them in our skull, and these other ones, they only had two, and they had bigger eye sockets, bigger teeth, bigger brain cavity, just bigger altogether. And they were elongated, but they're looking at the skulls as being elongated naturally. and that was what their people, and that was a type of beings that humans around the world, which were, you know, either enslaved by them or, you know, turned into like a society, you know, by human farming, if you would, of his time. Let me get this out of here. Paracus skulls. Alright, here we go. Well, we get the see if it's going to show me what I'm looking for. I hate it sometimes you ever look for something and it just doesn't give you exactly what you're looking for. Here we are. See, like this is one of them. See how big that fucking head is? That's like abnormally huge. And they have a whole lot of these things that they found. They're all numbered. Yeah. There's another one. So, you know, just put all that together and be like, okay, you know, it's like so that's what that is. So, you know, looking at Osiris, elongated skulls, lizards, you know, I mean, it is interesting to think that Great Pyramid was really built for him. If you think about it, even though these other pharaohs get credit for it, and I know how this history is put out, but just on a real note, though, what was supposed to be inside the big one, the Great Pyramid of Giza? Like whose body was supposed to be in there? Whose DNA was supposed to be left behind to be found for the future, to be reinstated? You know, I mean, if they could find dinosaur DNA, I mean, you know, some kind of like, you know, science lab could recreate dinosaurs somehow by having their DNA, they'd probably try it. Who knows? But if they had the DNA out of there of Osiris, that'd be pretty fucking fascinating. But you never know, because there was all kinds of digging going into those pyramids way before professionals even got there, right? I mean, all that was happening already, and the thing was already decimated of all the line that was over the tops, and I guess the gold tops that might have been on that was supposed to be on the tops of the pyramids. Oh, excuse me. But interesting enough, one more way to tie in the pyramids of South America to Egypt, I must say, and it's not my favorite topic, but I gotta say it's interesting to think that there was a documentary I watched. It was called The Cocaine Mummies. Hold on a second. I'm not a fan of coke at all, but at the same time, this documentary was talking about how these pharaohs and mummies, all these mummies that they were testing, testing positive for cocaine and nicotine, and Or like maybe nicotine, because you know the archaeologists just smoking a bunch of fucking cigarettes all over the mummies, and who knows? But like they're like, nah, it's like it's all within inside of them, this cocaine and shit. Come to find out, there could have been some type of trading route going from Egypt to South America for cocaine and chocolate and things like that. You never know. Yeah. I mean, the Olmec heads are fucking fascinating enough to see that Africans could have been already going over there visiting. Oh yeah, so let me show you another. Let me show you the Egyptian light bulb. Egyptian light bulb. The Baghdad battery. The Baghdad battery was another thing they found too. That's right. Let me get you a better picture of this. See this? See this? They found this in Egypt. This is like on the wall. And like, remember like that flower I was showing you with Osiris, where that's it again. You see what I mean? That psychedelic plant, but it's also a chord at the same time because it's showing you the creative medicine plus the invention, and then it shows you what it was, what dimension you go to. You see the snake, and the inside, the whole idea came from a snake for this huge to give light from what they understood by doing this and seeing, and so then the light comes out, and then they come with an invention, and look at that, it even looks like, to just some degree, like a box, and this thing right here, a little light fixture thing, the light bulb, because remember in ancient Egypt, when they said when they were going inside those pyramids, looking inside there, there's no smoke on the tops to show people going in there, so had to use something. In the Baghdad battery, they found those too. Let me see the Baghdad battery. Baghdad battery. Let's see, the Baghdad battery. The Baghdad battery is the name given to a set of 3 artifacts that were found together: a ceramic pot, a tube of copper, and a rod of iron. It was discovered in present-day Kajut Rabu, Iraq in 1936, close to the metropolis of Ctesiphon, the capital of the Periethan, from 150 BC to 223 AD. But I'll show you what it looks like right here. There's one that they cut in half to show you the copper and iron rod in there, and then you fill it up with some type of juice and get a current going. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know. But yeah, so South America, Quetzalcoatl looks like a fucking snake. Just is. I'm just repeating history for what it is. And unfortunately, the Aztecs, Mayas, and all that. I mean, once they started falling apart into like cannibalism and shit like that, it's just kind of gotta go. Yeah, everything got real bad over there, and then it's when the Spaniards had to come over, and Christopher Columbus and everybody else. So that's the way it is. You know, God has His wrath too. So that's how it goes. Which brings upon the realization of God's existence, which is definitely real. You know, and what else we got? Yeah, and then like I said, so if you've got Osiris, and I'm going deep here, you got Osiris, a lizard god, and you had lizard gods going way back then. Teaching humans the way humans would teach chimps. You know, it's like this is interesting. Something to think about. Old history. You know. Yes. Yes. So Osiris, Pharaoh, and who knows how many. I mean, back then they had those slaves and everything. There's no telling like how many offspring pharaohs had in Egypt, right? Like multiple, multiple. It's possible because just there were because then you get other things like Jesus, right? Where like he was like always talking about serpents and things like that too. So and it goes on to knowledge that he had and the things that just been passed on generation to generation. Pretty good stuff. But you know, ancient history. It all relates to today though, because everyone is everybody comes from that one way or another. Because like even in China and even in North America, you had all these different mud pyramids too for pharaohs and chiefs or emperors. You know, all ahead of something. So it's interesting that and one more thing, the Ten Commandments are a good thing. Think about it like this: on a real note, it's a good thing. And then on top of that, I do think, as I said it before, I'll say it again about Moses when Moses, who was a prince, a pharaoh, left Egypt, got a bunch of people that wanted to leave. They all got out of there. They all left, like 1/3 of God's angels. They got the fuck out of there. Then he found like the bush, and he's like, from his education here, he knows what it is. In my opinion, he goes up there, lights one up with the bush, and is like, 10 Commandments, and writes that shit down right away, because taking commandments from a higher power. Yeah, because the universe corrects itself. And then of course he leads his people the rest of the way into the land of milk and honey. So that's all pretty badass. And anyways, you know, That's pretty much all I've got, I think. I think that was so for me. That's a lot to think about when you go out exploring the ideas of God and know God and good and evil and all the layers of everything and reality and you know the fact remains that God is always there. So it's a good thing. Gotta love life, and that's pretty much it. So that's all for the paranormal there with the Bible and lizard people and Osiris's spirit spawning off into the heavens when he dies, wanting to go to heaven. It's all real shit. It's all connected. And here we all are genetically all the way out here into America or wherever we live, but it all comes together to the single, it all comes back to one singularity every single time. So in other words, everybody, is one. And, and you know, Egypt was about, I guess, under the rule of Osiris, prosperity, food, culture, music, you everything, dress code, all of it. So yeah, Egypt, that's so fucking awesome, so fun to think about. And then after Osiris, then you get gods, but then you get people ruling it. It just goes back and forth, and eventually Greece and Rome just rule it. They take it over because they got spawned by the same type of shit too. It was all they were all spawned from each other. So that's what it is. That's how I'm feeling about it. I'm gonna let you go. One more hit. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. I love you very much. If you would like to subscribe, please subscribe. If you like, please like. I always appreciate you. Your family. I love you. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, have a great day. Love you very much.